morning. Oh, good afternoon. I apologize. Today is a great blessed day for us today. I got Mr. Donnell Thompson. I call him Mr. T. He is taking time out his busy schedule today to be the first. Mr. T is the first guest on a safe space for business talk with Cedric Turner. And I feel, and I let Mr. T elaborate on. We feel that it's important that certain aspects of the business world, of franchise world, that you guys should be aware of. And we just want to talk to you about that. And I got Mr. Donnell Thompson. He is the president of Checkerboard Foods LLC and Country Burger LLC. Mr. Thompson is he exemplifies excellent his work. He served as he was on the Checkers and Riders Franchise Advisory Council and Marketing Subcommittee. Mr. Thompson is a licensed realtor in South Carolina since 2009, and he was a one of the best football players. I had to look you up, Mr. Thompson. You was pretty good back in your day, sir, I must add, sir. So you played with the Indianapolis Colts, and that was your only team, right, sir? That you played for?
Yeah, same team my whole career.
Yes, good.
We actually moved out of Baltimore into Indianapolis.
Good, Mr. Thompson. So you are a very successful franchisee and businessman, and you have been around the block 2, 3, or 4 times like I have. So I just want to, bring you on, and we just want to talk about different aspects of like I said, the franchise world. So, with further ado, Mr. Thompson, is your floor, sir. Thank you.
Well, hey, thank you for having me. And I wanted to tell you that I think that you're doing a great job. It's a needed thing that we can share information with different business people talking about different business issues. How I got started was years ago when I was playing pro football with the Indianapolis, then Baltimore Colts. I always knew that the career was going to be a short career. Most guys play in the NFL about 2.2 years. I was able to play about 12 years, so I played a long time. But in the off season, I got into a program. I was able to join a program. Had a couple of mentors from the McDonald's franchisees. A couple of guys mentored me. A guy by the name of Leon Goodrum and Mac Wilbur were mentors of myself, and I really appreciate those guys. And that's kind of why I'm here today, and that's why I'm here sharing information so that maybe what we discuss here is able to help someone else in the very, very near future. We were able to get me into McDonald's, and I went through a program with McDonald's. It was a training program that you had to work in their restaurants for several hours every week. And I did this for about 5 years, 5 or 6 off seasons. Whenever the football was over, I would go into one of their stores and I would open up one of their stores. And then I moved on to purchasing my own store when I retired from football. So I was very familiar with the fast food business via training through McDonald's Corporation. I was fortunate enough to be what McDonald's called a golden hat winner. They have one class each year up at Oak Brook, Illinois, and the best student of the business wins what they call a golden hat. And I was in a golden hat award winner and have been able to learn the business and take it to where I am now through the McDonald's training that they gave me. And then I purchased a store with McDonald's. My first store was in Norcross, Georgia. And then we purchased a second store and a third store. And I did that for several years. And that was during the time that McDonald's Corporation wanted to grow. They wanted to grow very fast. And there was a location about less than a mile down the street from one of my restaurants that they wanted to put another franchisee in. And I wasn't in agreement with McDonald's putting another franchisee less than a half a mile down the road from me. So we decided to part. These are the kind of things that you don't think about when you're going into business with a franchisor. Will somebody open a new business down the road from you? What does the details in the paperwork that you signed say? Are they allowed to bring a new franchisee in? Are they not allowed to bring a new franchisee in? So these are the kind of things that I think new franchisees and new business people need to be aware of the fine print in the contracts. And but we parted our ways, and then I went a few other brands over my career. That's kind of what's got me to where I'm here today.
You know what, Mr. Thompson, you touched on something that was very important, cannibalization. I was with Subway. Fred DeLuca had a, back then it was a brilliant idea. I don't know if you knew about this, but his first idea was, since McDonald's spent millions of dollars on marketing or site selection, they piggyback off. Whoever McDonald's went, Subway went.
Mm-hmm.
Said cannibalization, Subway didn't have a restriction where you can put the next friend. They'll put one on the next corner, next block. And basically what that does, so let's say for example, you have a store doing 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
They'll rather have two stores doing 15 and 12 or whatever, or 15
That's
and
right.
15, and have one doing 20.
That's correct.
So that's very important that you have mile restriction in your franchise agreement, where that you don't want to impede on your business. So that's very, very important point. And I always, when you say you was a McDonald's franchisee, I remember when I tried to get into Subway. I went to a McDonald's franchise in Memphis. He gave me a time of the day. He talked to me. He gave me no advice. Like, please, I don't want any money from you. I just want your advice on how to get started in this business. See, that's another problem we don't do as a race. People give back and help others, because I don't know if we had that crab mentality or what it is, but it's enough out here for everybody.
Right.
I wanted 30 minutes of that gentleman's time. Bless his heart, but he didn't give it to me. But God, he finds other ways to get you to where you're trying to. That's why you have to be consistent and persistent in everything you do. And it goes back to me. I got started. I needed $190,000 to build a brand new building, equipment, and a franchise fee. The building was 1,500 square feet. The bank only loaned me $90,000. Now, the great Honorable Mayor Harrington had a program. He had a program. So I had to do a three-way loan. So the bank, it was an SBA deal. Their risk was very limited because it was guaranteed up to 90, it was guaranteed 90%, 95%.
Right.
City of Memphis with Dr. Harrington's program loaned me some money. And then the great late Sarah Lewis had called the Free the Children program, which I got a loan through them. And then my dad, I used his, he retired, so I had some money to use to help with my injection, right? But $10,000 to build a 1,300 square, that equates to $60 a square. There's no way I could have done it. But grace of God, that's why I'm a licensed GC today, because my dad and I was able to go in there and do most of the work ourselves, and we built that store. So that's why it's important to figure out when you're doing your business plan, you come with, my numbers were good. They knew it was good, but they said, you know what? He only asked for X, and I can't try to come back and ask for more, but they wouldn't give it to me. But that's how the system works. The system works in a way where, I'm going to be honest with you, it sets you up for things.
Well, also, let me kind of jump in too. I think,
yes, sir.
I mean, you've made some great points. Oftentimes, you have to be the business person driving your business. Even though you are a part of the franchising system, when you get into that franchising system, but you can't lose yourself in that system, because that system belongs to them. That is not your system. Your system is, the point that you make is that you had to go to 3 or 4 different parties to raise that capital. Well, I can share a story with you. I used to be in the hotel business. I built some 50, 60 room units, 90 room units, Fairfield Inns, courtyards, some comfort suites. And I went to probably 15 banks before the first bank would lend me money. And they wouldn't lend me but about 70% at the time, or 60%. And I had to go raise the other part of those proceeds. So generally, we have quite a bit more of a difficult time trying to find your own way, because we as people in this country, we're not geared to go out and make your way. We're geared to go get a job. And nothing more could have ever, for me since a kid, I've never wanted a job from nobody. I always wanted to create business, create jobs, create opportunities. I always thought that that's where I should be. That's where God has led me. And I've been there since the beginning, since football. Football didn't really get me here. Football gave me a little bit of seed money to be able to get here, because during the time I played, my first year in the league, I think was somewhere in the 90s, and I played about 12 years. Well, the highest earning year I probably had was $750,000. Well, now, I was a first round draft choice. I think I was the 18th or 19th player picking in the first round. Today, those guys get $4 or $5 million just signing bonus, which I'm very happy about that. So oftentimes you have to be a go-getter. You have to be a starter. You have to be able to take a shovel and dig dirt and turn it over and find out where the goal is. Oftentimes that's where you just can't. And many times in the franchising business, and that's some of why I think the franchisor don't really respect a lot of us franchisees, because we are being told what to do. We're told how to think. We're told to move to the left. We're told to move to the right to follow this franchising system. And you have to put your own spin on something to make it be successful. Rarely are we all blessed enough to get the great locations that the franchisor already has, or they have first privy to the super great locations. You are going to be the high risk taker in every location that they have. If it's a great location, then generally it's going to be owned by the corporate. If it's a risk location, it's going to be owned by the franchisee. Just kind of know that going in, and oftentimes we don't know that. We don't know that at a young age. You learn this knowledge down the road.
Those are some great points. And I guess too, you read about it, and it's so unfortunate. You hear about NFL players, NBA players, they make all these millions of dollars. They don't have a college education. They whatever reason they throw them up. And when they get out, they have nothing to fall back on. But you plan for that. You plan to say, you know what, it's life after football, right? You got your degree, you got your real estate license. So
Right.
you had a backup plan that a system. I think that everybody can't be a football player. Everybody can't
That's
be a football player. Everybody can't be a rapper. So you have to have something to fall back on. Is your education? It's a backup plan to get to God. God got a purpose for all this. He has a purpose for me, you, and the purpose being is we just you was talented in what you're doing. So now you found another niche in the restaurant industry that was able to do. You did well. You did real well. I know we don't have to talk about names you were in, but you was basically fast food. You did full service, correct? Full service
Yes,
restaurant. Okay, full service, fast food. So let me ask you this: if you can do it all over again, you do it all over again. What? Give me your number. I guess your top three, success you did in the business, and your top three that you wish you hadn't done.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that I think that I'm very comfortable with is you need to learn how to develop, how to take a site that's a 1 acre site or 4 acre site and break that site up into several sites. So basically, the real money, I think, is in the development piece. When you look at McDonald's Corporation, and you look at all the larger corporations, they're really not in the food business. They're in the land and building. They own the dirt, they own the buildings, and long term, and you win on the front end. The money is on the buy. When you buy that land, let 10 years, let 20 years pass by. Those are the real winners. So I would just tell people that's how I got in the / building business / owning dirt, being a realtor, being able to go on the MLS and look at sites in different places, being able to dig into the details and tell you how many homes are in this area, how many people live here, what they make per year, and so on and so on. And then you still may have some difficulty winning. So at the end of the day, knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have. And you have to really believe in yourself, because when you do come upon hard times, I would just tell you, if you don't have God as a focus to lead you down the right path, because oftentimes when things have gotten tough here or there, I knew where to go because my great grandmother had me in church when I was 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. So I knew where my power, my source come from. So I've been able to reach into that level and pray and ask God to lead me down the right path and help me make decisions. And oftentimes take on the big boy. Oftentimes, if things don't go well and you know that you've been unjustly treated, somebody else might make a decision. It may be a legal decision that needs to be made in that process. And there's not that many of us that feel that confident in themselves to take that process up. So it's all about a more or less maturing, learning the business, your relationships with the maker, and being a student, the same student that I was, here at North Carolina in college. Many times I had to go. What we have here is Wilson Library. It's got stacks down at the bottom of the stacks. I'm 12 floors down in the dirt, sitting on a corner, studying a book. Well, coming from a small town, I didn't know anything about that. I wasn't a great studier, learner, but I knew that I had to teach myself. If you don't teach yourself and train yourself, or somebody don't help you, then you're lost. That's why it's our responsibility to reach out and teach and share information and share dialogue about the business world with young people that's going through those same processes that we went through. And that's why I'm here. You've asked me to be here to speak on things. I hope some of what I'm saying will rub off on. If it doesn't rub off on one person, then I've been able to help one person get a little bit further down the road.
You said a vast information that's very helpful. It was insight to me that some things I didn't know. I appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure that once others look at this, they can understand, appreciate it, and learn from it. Because at the end of the day, you don't have God in your plan, you have no. And that's important. Your grandmother, she kept you in church. You said another thing too. That people, some people do and some don't, because they hear Ray Kroc say it. McDonald's, they are in the real estate. What they do, and I don't know about in the past, what they do is they're about the real estate for the franchisee, turn back everything to the franchisee. Is that correct? And that's
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
If you look at it, Chick-fil-A similar to that. They got a similar kind of business model, if you will. Yeah. It's similar, but not. They got the little thing where, okay, you the operating partner, you pay. It was $10,000. I think it's like $20,000 now. They don't have any. How much would you say, Mr. T?
Small. It's a very small amount of money that you have in the deal. You're more or less a high-paid employee for Chick-fil-A.
Correct. And they split the profits at the end of the year with you, correct? And people are like, why are you about a Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A is not a franchise. They call themselves a franchise partner, but they technically don't own anything. They have rights to can't make any decision. They just if I'm not mistaken, they get a certain percentage of the profit margin, profitability at the end of the year. Which, hey, it can equate to six figures. They can do really well, because I think, them Chick-fil-A is doing 8-10 million a year. Yeah, T.
Some people can do very good at it.
Yeah, do very well. So let me ask you something, Mr. T. Let me ask you something, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate that information. Let me ask you some things about, especially with franchise agreements. We're not trying to be lawyers, we're not attorneys, but as far as, what kind of advice you can give somebody when it comes to reviewing a franchise agreement or just looking at any kind of business? What kind of advice would you give anybody?
Well, I tell you first to read it for yourself, line by line, Ask the questions so that you can understand it. Oftentimes, we leave that up to someone else. And yes, it's great to get legal advice, but nothing is better than understanding the writing and reading it yourself. After you get it, read it, and get an attorney to aid you with it, there is some line items that you want to strike out of. And if those line items are not agreeable by the franchisor for you to strike out, then you probably should pass. You should probably pass. This is knowledge that I've gained from being around the business for a long time. When you're early and you're young, those franchise agreements are not written for your behalf. They are written on the behalf of any franchisor. So I'm talking about not just one. If you've seen one, you've seen 100 of them. And all of them are written on behalf of the franchisor. So just know that when you're reading, and you need to be able to negotiate things such as, if you were to open a new restaurant and that restaurant failed, in some franchise agreements, there is a royalty fee that you pay for 2 years worth of royalties because you closed a failing store that you may have spent $2 million on, and everybody know it failed, but you would still owe that particular franchisor 2 years worth of royalties. Who does that? I mean, that should never be in anyone's contract if you're trying to be fair to someone. But if you're trying to run a dictatorship, then that's probably a great place for you to put it, if that's what you're doing. So that's one of many things. If somebody can open up a store a half mile down the road from you, and you just open a store, and you just spent your last investment in business to have a successful business, and let's just say you're doing $30,000 a week in sales, but they've got the opportunity to open another location less than a half mile down the road from you, and now your sales go down to $21,000 a week versus $30,000 a week. If you think that's fair, then you probably shouldn't be in business. So that and many other things. And if you're looking at things, if you go to the franchisor's office, and his office or her offices doesn't have any diversity, if you don't walk in there and you don't see some people that look like you pulling the trigger, somewhere at the tone of, I think, the Black population of this country is somewhere around 12 to 13% alone. If you don't see that kind of diversity in and around those offices, any positions, and I'm not telling you just to see the janitors, even though we love them and we need them. But I think now it's 2024, and God knows, I think we can do a little bit more than that today. So I'm telling you, diversity is critical because oftentimes those people feel comfortable with you. They can sit down with you if there happens to be a problem, and you can talk about those issues and work those issues out. But oftentimes, if someone has never been around you before as a business person, and you happen to be a big guy like me, 6'5", damn near 300 pounds, you got to stand back off of people. You got to not be offensive to them. You got to make them feel very comfortable to even talk to you. Then there's probably going to be a problem down the road if you don't look around and see 10 to 12% of us in some decent positions that you can reach out, talk to, because oftentimes if you have that opportunity, it solves a lot of problems. Communications is the key. When that breaks down, the business relationship breaks down. It is the most integral part of doing business with anyone. You've got to have great skills to be able to, when there is a hiccup, that you and that person or these people can sit down and come to a meaningful discussion that is a win-win. And you're not going to win all the time, but it's got to be a win-win in the system for both of you guys to be successful. If not, it may happen for a long time. A long time, things might go wrong. Trust me, for a long time. But the day is coming. That's why you see so many businesses closing today. I just saw earlier today where I think it was Walgreens is closing a couple hundred, 300 stores. Rite Aid is closing a couple thousand stores. I mean, some of this is just it's business, but some of it is the relationships pieces that if there are franchise locations or if they do or they don't. But oftentimes things can be worked out, and the solution can be such a solution that you walked in the door in great disappointment, and after you sit down and talk to someone, neither one of y'all won, but clearly it's tolerable for both of you. And that's where I think a lot of franchisors lose it. They get so indoctrinated into we've got to win every time. And if the better franchisor systems that are open and have leadership, if the chairman and the CEO and the COO, of course, look around before you choose a brand, and who is the COO? Are they known for having good relationships with people? Or are they known for being a difficult person to work with? If you know that COO that runs the operation is difficult to work with, I don't care what kind of deal they give you, it's going to be a bad deal for you. So just those are some of the simple things that you don't really think about, because you're going in the door saying, oh, I may make this kind of money, I'm with a great brand. And sometimes, yeah, it's a great brand outwardly, but who looks like us that has been a great brand for? If you can't have the majority of franchisees in that system that look like us are telling you that, yes, this is a great workplace, this is a great place that we have great relationships, even if it's fair relationships. If that doesn't exist, do not put your money in that franchising system, or you're going to have problems. Maybe not today, but it will come to roost. You will have problems.
Thompson, appreciate that. That was valuable information that you shared, and I guess you touched on a lot of points. And the point being relationship, communication. And I think the disconnect with brands that I've been in, I don't know about you, it's been the relationships. You are in a system, call each other franchise partner. And when you say partner, that's a strong word to use, partner. So your success depends on our success, right? Happy. If you don't have happy franchises or happy franchisees in the system, you don't have a system, because that's your system. We are the business of the franchisor, the franchise, right? Mm-hmm. I think, like you said, they don't communicate that effect to us to make us feel part of that system, right? But when it's like a relationship, you know how a woman, they'll do what they can, or a man do what you can to get the woman. But when you get the woman, you kind of backs off, right? That's what they do. And that's why it's so many unhealthy, and the ones I know is so many unhealthy franchisors out there because of this particular reason. They've lost focus on the real relationship aspect of franchise, right? We know it's your system. We know it's your sandbox. We in it to play in your sandbox, but at the same time, we got to make money too, because at the end of the day, you get your check. They get it twice a week or once a month. We have to wait to get ours, right? We have to wait and be patient. If we got a loss, we got to cover that loss. They don't have to worry about that. So it's different things that we have to, as business owners or franchisees, knowing, it's business. And one thing that I can celebrate, I don't know about you, Mr. T, I've never worked for nobody out of college, ever. I've always been an entrepreneur. Working with my dad, his businesses with my brothers, and they paid the business. So I've never worked for anyone. And I'm just piggyback on what you said earlier about, when you go to college, The first thing my professor asked, everybody in the class, who you gonna work for?
Right.
Came to me, so I'm not gonna work for anyone. He said,
Right.
"Oh, I forgot. You gonna work for your brothers. Y'all got your own business." So we got to get to that point. If I can make a company millions, I can make it for myself.
Right.
You got to step out on faith and make it happen. You got to be consistent and persistent with what you do. And two, the last piece of it, Mr. T. I guess before we go into that last piece, you touched on some things about certain franchisors have a clause in a franchise agreement. It's called an early closure penalty. That's what it's called,
Mm-hmm.
early closure penalties, and a lot of them do have that clause, which I think it's a leverage. My opinion is it's used leverage for them at the end of the day, but I don't think it's right because just like you said, if you lost $1 million and you trying to get me to pay you for lost royalties, that means that don't add up. But at the end of the day, we read it, we agreed to it, saying we did. But I think, like you said, it's important for you to read and understand. If you don't, get your attorney so they can read and help you understand. And two, and more importantly, people don't understand. You have to personally guarantee these franchise agreements. Meaning, if that business fail, if you don't pay royalties, they're going to come get you personally, right? Meaning that your assets will be exposed to them.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever you do is still gonna be exposed. So that's important that you figure out you understand what you're doing when you sign a franchise agreements like we did. We understood that we was person get but you know what, Mr. T, life's not guaranteed. And I do deals now. If I go do a deal with a landlord, I want you to person guarantee it. It's okay. I want you to person guarantee it too. Why I can't do it? Why I can't do it? You know what I mean? And I know it's your building and so forth and so on, but summing all this up, Mr. T, I think the most important, and I'm going to ask you, the most important aspect of being in business is community involvement. I kind of sum everything up with how important you think community involvement is in your success with your business and in life in general.
It's very important. You have to make the people that you're doing business with and your interior, what I call my interior employees, live in the community, and they've got to like me. If they don't like me, then the business is certainly not going to be successful. The schools and the churches, like I was just saying earlier, oftentimes, and you made a great point, not to switch back to it, but when the preacher might be in church praying on Sunday, they'll pray and they'll pray for everybody to get a job. And I'm like, when is he going to say, let's pray for these people's businesses? That almost ought to be in front of praying for people's jobs because the businesses create jobs. And oftentimes our people don't really think about it that way because they're not geared to think in that manner. We are geared to think in, Mr. Charlie is going to give us a job. I'm going to go to school to get a job. And I really would hope that, during my lifetime, I'll be able to see that trend change. And I'm seeing it from the folk like LeBron James and other folk with means are hiring within or are changing the landscape. Very, very proud of these young entrepreneurs that are opening up their own brand and are being very successful with their brands. So I think as that continues, I stand up in a chair and clap every time I hear there's a lady down in Atlanta that's opened up several restaurants, and she's been super successful with her own. I forget her name, but
Slutty Vegans.
Yeah, Slutty. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of we should be holding these people up in the highest esteem, so that other young people that look like us can say, "Hey, we're going to be doing something of that nature in moves that are not friendly for you doing business," and maybe those folk will come up with something that's a lot more user friendly to the people that might want to go in business. Maybe they'll have some spinoffs, and their spinoffs won't be so confining or so restrictive to just collect their 4 or 5% royalties and really don't care about the other folk that's around them. So to get back to, you got to be involved with the schools and the churches, getting involved, well, because that's who comes and purchases our food. And oftentimes when they come, they're not coming because of the brand. They're coming because they know Mr. Turner owns this business, and they are patronizing Mr. Turner by way of whatever brand that you represent. They are patronizing whoever by way of whatever brand that you represent. So I certainly look forward to continuing to see young folk continue to grow themselves and to grow brands of their own, to see that be successful.
Good point. That's good. We appreciate that. I just think, like you said, with community involvement, we need to catch these kids, in my opinion, before they get to college. You catch them in high school. Try to get opportunity to come work in the store and them an internship, because I think that's where the disconnect come in with a lot of our kids. They get lost in the streets because they see what's on the internet and what's on TikTok and all that stuff, and they think they can do it, but it just don't work like that. God don't have that purpose for you. So you just got to find out what your purpose is in life. You got to get your education. The dropout rate has increased over the years. Literacy rate is going down. There's a lot of things that comes into play with our young youth now. They just, for an example, I grew up in Westwood. We used to go to the community center to swim. The swimming pool been closed for 7 years. So during the time, what we gonna do? What the kids gonna do? Lady pulled up, young lady pulled up on a lot. Said, "Hey, I'm trying to find out what I can get passes to go swim." The swimming pool was closed, so she had to go probably 20 to 30 minutes just to take a kid swimming.
Oh wow!
So just imagine she didn't have transportation. So I think the integral part in these communities is raising awareness that we're not going to allow it to happen. See, that's the problem. We sit there and accept what they say they're going to do and don't fight for it. But let them go out east or different fluent part of where you live. You guys won't allow that. It's not going to happen. So we have to stand up for our kids, because I'm telling you, Mr. Thompson, I say 5 more years, our kids won't have a seat at the table because of equality. And they don't have the same. We can't. I'm just going to tell you, I have to work 20 times harder than my counterpart. I have to, or my colleagues, to prove myself that I'm worthy as a successful businessman as you are. So I earned it. But that's not how some people see us or see me. They don't see me like that. You got to continue to fight, scrape for what's mine. Show, hey, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I know what I can do. Now, I think I deserve a seat at the table, at least. So well,
back to, and I mean to stop you, but it comes right back to the relationships that you have. Oftentimes, even when we do get involved at the corporate level, you're not invited out to have the late night cocktails. Even though I don't drink, I can have a Coke. I can have a Sprite. You're not one of the people sitting around the table, either the meeting before the meeting or the meeting after the meeting. And some of that is because of who they have running the organization. They don't look like us. They don't feel familiar. They don't feel comfortable with us. So a lot of things have to change what you're talking about. The leadership of the companies, the stockholders or the shareholders have to think more in line and say, listen, you all have got these stores in the so-called hood and you're toting franchise money out of here like crazy. What is it that this brand is doing on behalf of all the royalties that we're taking out of this community? So, and they're not going to think that if there's not anybody at the level that can make decisions to think about it, those folk are not even thought about. those are the people that we, in one of the brands that we have been associated with, we kind of got away from that $2.99, that $4.99, that $5.99, that $6.99 person, and we started charging a lot more money. And we kind of forgot about that person. So oftentimes, that's the person that eats with us 3 or 4 times a week in certain brands. So, the brand has to be cognitive of who they are and not fool themselves in thinking that they're Chick-fil-A when they're not Chick-fil-A. That happens many times. I see it over and over again. And it's just because of, and then when your leadership doesn't necessarily think that much of a franchisee to be left alone in a meeting with them. So, it's totally lack of leadership. So whenever those things change, I think some of the things that we're talking about can get impacted. I've been around a couple of leaders that was well aware of the things that we're talking about, and the relationships from the top to the bottom is a lot better. And then when the leadership shifts again, it kind of depends upon, it's like running a football team. It kind of depends on who the ownership is, who the head coach is, and what assistant coaches that the head coach hires. That's called the culture of that particular business. So as long as the culture is in good fashion with this part of the business, things tend to go better. But whenever that changes, and oftentimes the ownership may have a disconnect, that the culture isn't where it should be for their businesses to be successful, no more than someone calling you and telling you that in one of your businesses that you own, that somebody is not maybe taking walk-up business. Then you're going to get concerned about that right away, and you're going to go straight to the source and find out why nobody is not taking walk-up business. Well, oftentimes, these people are not even told that nobody is not taking walk-up business. So they're not even aware of it. So therefore, they think that the house is running good. Mm. So it gets to be somewhat complicated, if you understand what I'm saying.
Great valid points. Let me ask you this, what kind of systems, what kind of advice that you can give, or what kind of systems do you have in place to detect theft, or just to overall direction of what your business to go in a positive manner? What kind of good advice that you can kind of let us know that you do within your business?
Well, again, it's about leadership. The CEO may be great, but it's the people that's working with the CEO. It's your supervisor, it's your general manager, and we all know just how difficult that can be in finding that particular right person. So you have one store that could be a great store and is a great store, and it's the same corporation that might have one store that's giving you a very difficult time, and you're trying to get it fixed, and you're trying to get it fixed, and you're trying to get it fixed. And it might be so that you just continue trying to get that store fixed forever. So I would just say that it is the grace of God that you lean on the people that's operating in the most positive way and try and get them as involved in the units that are not necessarily. But I do find that the closer that you live to the operation, I have found that those units tend to operate a little better, maybe because the hands-on approach is a little bit more versus relying on, it's almost like this theory. You've got a company, and when you got 10 people, everybody works together and everybody know each other very well, or either the family members or they've got some kind of tie. And that particular company runs like a machine. when it's got 10 people. But we think we get a little smarter, and now we add 20 more people to that team, and now it's 30 people on that team. And the team doesn't tend to operate at the same level that it operated in a real positive fashion when it was just 10 of us. Now it's 30 of us. Well, the 30 of us is really being managed by the 30 of us, and it's not being managed by me. I'm the chairman. What I said and did carried a lot of weight when I had 10 people, but I can't communicate it to the 30. I'm having a difficult time doing that. That has been my findings.
That's great findings. If you can, without saying any names, if you can give, this is a safe space where you can express yourself about anything you want to without putting you on the spot. I mean, what advice would you tell your franchisor right now? What kind of changes would you ask for, or what would you do within the system to make a change?
Their communication with franchisees needs to vastly improve. That would be if they just took that one-liner and went to work seriously on that. I think that could change the relationship with a lot of franchisees.
So you think it's a good idea? Because a lot of franchisors, they have what you call a franchise advisory board that you own.
Yes.
Those boards, and you can elaborate on, I think those boards are good to a certain extent, but it benefits the franchisor and not franchisee community as a whole. So you think,
Well, I can speak on one of the ones that I own. Okay. And I think openly, there's a statement made and read from the beginning that this is an advisory board. This is not a board that you go out and you talk to franchisees about things. This is not that type of board. They make those decisions, that particular franchising company. So if you're talking about a true open dialogue board, that would be great. But I've never been a part of a true open dialogue board, other than when I was with McDonald's Corporation. The McDonald's, our representatives at McDonald's, they had a seat at the table, and McDonald's were, for the most part, urgent.
So you think for a franchising system, they need to have a group of franchisees that they communicate with, they listen to, that can advise them as well, instead of them being a dictator of saying, okay, we're gonna do it, and this is what we're gonna do. So you think what you think the importance of having some kind of board, or having some kind of franchisee, some kind of board consisting of franchisees to give advice to the franchise? You think that'll be a way to mend the relationship, to make sure communication is freely, openly, and transparent? Because at the end of the day, you're part of the system, but you want to be heard. If you're not being heard, that the morale of the system is derailed, if you will. Think?
Well, as you get to be a veteran, if you're not being heard, then you don't have a choice but to do whatever it is that you think your option is. Right. And that's what you have to do. As a business person, you're not a young kid that you were 20, 30 years ago, that somebody can tell you, hey, this is the way it's going to happen. And you think and we all know that that's the outcome. In today's society, it just doesn't work that way anymore. And, things end up letting other people get it settled.
Mr. Thompson, it's been a fun ride with you, sir. And this the first, like I said, this is the first show that we had, and we're gonna have plenty more. We want to invite you back again, because at the end of the day, I think we touched on a lot of things, vast things that all should know about. Let me ask you this. Let me before we end it. Let me ask you about you got a bag of plan your real estate business. So that's really good to have. Not only you're an entrepreneur, but you got your real estate license. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I've been very, very, for over the last 10 years or greater, I've been very active in that business, and I like that business. And we continue to do transactions every year in that business. And it's a fun business. I enjoy the business, and the development business as a part of that. It's very exciting and very gratifying as a business person.
Right. Okay. Anything else you think you can add, Mr. T? This is incredible. I know I've learned a lot just from talking to you and the friendship over the years that we shared together, and it's been genuine. We trying to we know how to get there, but we're trying to have the steps to get there, right? But that's why I feel that's why you back to a franchising system, because they make the mistakes, right? It's up to us to follow the system. But when we follow the system and can't get the results, that equates to problems, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I think that you touched on a lot of things today, and we talked about, and I appreciate it. I think everybody who's going to be looking at this going to appreciate it vastly, because we didn't know. I mean, some things you said I didn't know. Some things that they going to hear they probably didn't know. So
take some from it.
Yeah, they're gonna definitely take something from it. And what? Let me ask you this: what's the next 5 years? Where you see yourself, Mr. Thompson?
Enjoying what I do. That is critical. I'm at a point now that I can. I have the opportunity. I have the choice at this stage in my career to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. And that's the way I'm going to end up the rest of my career. So I look forward to whatever's left that God has for me.
Thompson, thank you so much for your time, sir. And you have a blessed 4th of July. And don't eat too much now, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you so much.
Love you, sir. All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. That was, again, Mr. Donnell Thompson, and he's been a colleague of mine for some years now, and we share some similar things we share together. And he's a great entrepreneur, great family man, and I appreciate him taking time to do this. But I just want to share some with you all about my journey. Started, at Tennessee State University. Did my senior project on the Lowndes. She's still, I believe Miss Lowndes is still there at Tennessee State School of Business. I think she's the dean now. Great. She's AKA, and I did my senior project Subway, and that's how I got in Subway. Called the Subway development agent. His name was Gregory Green, good guy. I said, hey, I want to come in and be a Subway franchisee. He thought I was joking. Anyway, long story short, as soon as I got back home, I went to work for my brother and their partners, beeper business, electric and concepts. After that, they kind of inspired me to continue to move forward with Subway. My daddy, which is very inspirational. My mama was very inspirational in our lives and motivated me to continue this journey, not only for me, but for my family. That's where Subway, I stumbled up on Subway. Made an A on my paper, fresh out of college with a fresh degree, but no experience and no money. None. Didn't have anything. So I had to lean on my father to he retired from the post office and got an early retirement. He gave me some money, and again, I got a loan through bank through Dr. Harrington's City of Memphis revolving loan program, and Free the Children, which the late great Sarah Lewis, I love her. She was excellent. I mean, that's she and Dr. Harrington were the two, other than my family, who inspired me to take advantage of the free enterprise system. And don't get discouraged, because that it was discouraging me. I'm 22, 23 year old walking in the bank trying to get $190,000 with no experience. So it was challenging to me. And again, I got turned down by 9 banks. Nine banks turned me down. So I had to figure out a way. The problem I was having was when you get loans, you got to have collateral. At that time, I'm like, I didn't have enough collateral because I wasn't, buying into real estate at the time. So a light popped in my head. I said, you know what? What if I buy the real estate and land? That'll give me more leverage to get this loan. So I did that, went back to a bank, bam. God worked it out, got the loan. It was challenging though. I got the loan. They only loaned me $90,000 to build a 1,500 square foot building. 90,000. So just imagine. And then got the loan, closed the deal, hired a general contractor who bid it on doing the job and quit. Poured my slab and quit on me because he underbid the job. So just on imagine what what I'm doing. I prayed about it. I said, you know what? It's a way we can do this. So basically what I did was I had to go get payment and performance bond for the bank, which is a bond that if I didn't finish the job, that the bond would kick in and finish it. I had to do that. I had to pull that out. Then I had to go down to construction code enforcement, and I had to break each project down individually and get an individual payment and performance bond for the bank because I wasn't licensed then. So and at that time, anything above $25,000, you had to be licensed GCs. I broke everything down. I mean, from electrical to plumbing and mechanical to carpentry, I had to break it all down to get separate permits to build this. Lo and behold, God worked it out. My father helped me. Family helped me. We actually went in and started painting, and we did it all. But it was a learning experience, and opened the store up, and after that, everything was history. But it was a challenge to me that the most important thing that God taught me was to be patient. But I'm still not patient now. But I'm praying for patience. But most important things, the big thing that I learned was to be consistent and persistent in what you do, and don't get deterred about nothing that because people gonna talk about you, and when they talk about you, it's a good thing. When they stop talking about you, it's a bad thing because you're not on their mind anymore. So that's good when they talk. So I love when they talk about me because they talked about me. They talked about me. They talked about me. Talked about me. But guess what? They gave me motivation. If that's my fuel to motivation, that you know what, I like when you do it. That's fine. But at the end of the day, God has the last say so. So I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. Spread the word that what I'm trying to do with my safe space for myself is to create a safe space for anybody in business to come on and talk about some things that you've been through in your life with your business and the different advice you can give us all. Because I'm telling you something, what we don't, and I touched on it earlier in the segment with Mr. Thompson. I went to several people to try to get advice. I went to McDonald's franchisee. I went to a very successful contractor and his brothers. They own McDonald's and some other restaurants in Nashville, Tennessee. They wouldn't talk to me either. Instead of them talking to me, they want me to come work for them. That ain't what I wanted to do. I wanted to get advice. Yes, that's all I wanted. They would spend no time with me. So that's another important thing we got to stop doing. We got to get out that mindset of, well, if he know the secret or she didn't know the secret, they'll get ahead of me. We can get ahead together as one. If we do that, we could be so much more powerful Knowledge is powerful, but we have to share the knowledge. The knowledge has to be shared. That's how you get your blessings, by sharing knowledge, what you've gone through in your life. I don't care if you're in business or whatever you do at your job, to other people, so you can be an inspiration and a testimony for them to help inspire them to continue. Because we all have things that goes on out of our life that God put trials and tribulations there for a reason. But he don't do that for us to give up. He won't put too much on you can't handle. So thank you all so much. And I pray that you all this has blessed you guys in a way. And if you got any questions or comments, just let me know. I'm going to put up some other information later on down the line. I'm gonna have some more guests on too that's in business, NBA basketball players and some other individuals or brothers and sisters who are in business that own franchises and independent business they've started, and what they're going through, what they see in the franchise and in the business world, that we need to spread. We need to spread this knowledge about things. Not all franchisers are not bad. They're not bad. It goes back to what Mr. Thompson said: leadership. The leadership is where the problem comes in, because without a good lead, you're supposed to. I was always told when I was a Red Robin franchisee that you surround yourself around people who share your vision, that's smarter than you. Brad Smith do it. He got plenty of people that works for him that's way smarter. But that's what you want. You want people that's around you that's smart. That's why I want to surround myself around people that's smarter than me to help us grow together. And appreciate you tuning in. Share this with your friends. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, I'm gonna put up something later on down the line, and that you can email me and things of that nature, because I'm here to help in any way I can. So appreciate it again. Have a blessed 4th of July, and thank you for tuning in.